right. So, again, good morning, everybody. I'm Trudy. I'm the founding teacher here at InsightLA. Those of you who've been coming every week, you can see I'm in a different place. I'm staying in the empty house of a friend because, as I explained to you all, I think it was last week, I gave my little cottage in Venice to my granddaughter and her roommate so that they could have at least a little bit of the experience of going to college by leaving home and having that place to stay and do online courses as freshmen at George Washington University. And we had planned to go up to Jack's house, but it's way, way too smoky up there. So we're staying in the house of a friend who isn't here. And that's why it's an unfamiliar backdrop. So I'd like to begin with some meditation. Today we're going to be looking at the last of the factors of awakening, which we've been looking at pretty much all summer. And this is the one that is called concentration or Samadhi. And it's a really interesting topic for us as meditators. You know, how much concentration do we need? What does it mean to not feel like the mind is concentrated? What does it feel like when it is? And how do we work with all the different states in between? So I'm going to go get the bell. And while I do that, find your comfortable sitting posture and we'll begin.
You okay?
Yeah, thank you. And when I talk about concentration, I'm really talking about the effort that we make to be present and to not get completely caught up for long periods of time, at least, in the discursive habit of our linear thinking. And so today I'm going to, we'll do some loving kindness practice together, because that practice really shows us the craft of meditation. We're going to do the kind that is taught in the Mahasi tradition of Burmese loving kindness practice, where we focus on certain phrases. And those phrases, it's very easy to notice when you get lost. Much easier than, let's say, if you're resting your attention with the breath. It's very possible to be much more mechanical with the breath and thinking away, you know, than it is when we're doing the phrases of the kindness practice. And so Janet, if you could mute yourself, thank you. And then what ordinarily I teach more the Sri Lankan method, where we just evoke the feeling, but today we'll work a little bit with the phrases, because this is it's a good introduction to seeing how the mind wanders, where it wanders, and to seeing it a little bit faster through doing this practice. It's also very important when we're doing the loving kindness practices that you be comfortable. So if the posture that you're in isn't, then, or if it's fine now, but then, you know, 10 or 15 minutes in, you're uncomfortable, it's absolutely fine to move. This is very relaxed. We do this in a kind of playful spirit. And so you don't, unlike with mindfulness practice, where we're really learning how to stay with whether it's painful emotions or painful physical sensations, how to stay with them and observe them and allow them to change. Here, no, just move if you're uncomfortable. Because this is a practice that is intended to gladden the heart. And I think at this time of, pandemic and fires and all the various ramping up of political activity before the election, it's really good to gladden our hearts. And if your heart doesn't feel gladdened in the process of doing this, do not worry. It has an effect anyway, whether you know it or not. Okay. So beginning by taking a deep breath in and releasing. And once again, and releasing. And one more time, breathing in. And then relaxing with the out breath. And so we're going to begin the loving kindness practice by offering these well wishes to ourselves. And of course, if this is not something that you wish to do, just continue with your own practice, whatever that may be and however you do it. And don't feel that you have to memorize or write down these phrases. If you like them, just notice which ones resonate for you. And this is being recorded, so if you ever do want to go back and actually write down the phrases, you can later on. But for now, just allow yourself to just pour all of your attention into each phrase as though it was a fervent wish or an impassioned prayer, and really listen to what you are saying and see if you can mean it. May I be safe and protected from inner and outer harm. And you just silently repeat that phrase to yourself. May I be safe and protected from inner and outer harm. May I live with the ease of an open heart. May I be truly happy and deeply peaceful. May I be healthy and strong. And if that's not possible, may I accept my limitations with grace. May my heart be steady through the ups and downs of life. May I have the inner and outer resources that I need. May I care for myself joyfully. And may I love my life completely, just as it is. If that feels too steep, just may I appreciate my life, even as it is. And may I love myself completely, just the way I am. And we'll go through these one more time. And whenever the mind wanders away, you just come back to the phrase, just bringing all your attention, seeing if you can offer the phrase with loving kindness. May I be safe and protected from inner and outer harm. May I live with the ease of an open heart. May I be truly happy and deeply peaceful. May I be healthy and strong. And if that's not possible, may I accept my limitations with grace. May my heart be steady through the ups and downs of life. May I have the inner and outer resources that I need. May I appreciate my life just as it is. And may I love myself completely, just the way I am. Now I'm inviting you to call to mind somebody that you care about. It could be your child, it could be a dear friend. It can be somebody who's already passed away. Just hold them in your heart or visualize them near you. As we offer these phrases of blessing, of well-wishing. May you be safe and protected. May you live with ease. May you be truly happy and deeply peaceful. May you be healthy and strong. And if that's not possible, may you be free from pain. May your heart be steady through the ups and downs of life. May you have the support you need. May you appreciate your life just as it is. And may you love yourself completely, just the way you are. And you can do it very simply, just holding this person in your heart and simply saying, may you be safe. May you live with ease. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be free from troubles and worries. And may you be loved. And now I invite you to call to mind somebody who may be having a hard time. Any kind of hard time. They may be ill or lonesome, heartbroken, whatever it may be. Just hold this one in your heart. May you be safe and protected. May you live with ease. May you be at peace. May you be free from pain and suffering. May you have the courage, a steady heart. May you have the help you need, the support you need. And may you appreciate your life, even so. And may you love yourself just as you are. And once again, holding this being in your heart. May you be safe. May you live with ease. May you be peaceful. May you be free from pain and suffering. May your heart be steady. May you have support. May you appreciate your life even as it is. May you love yourself and be loved. And now call to mind someone who is difficult. Could be somebody you also love, but they're just difficult for you. And if the mind balks at sending loving kindness to somebody that's being really difficult, just imagine if they were happy, if they felt safe, peaceful, and free, they probably wouldn't be so difficult. May you be safe and protected. May you live with ease. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be free from suffering. May your heart be steady and strong. May you appreciate your life just as it is. And may you love yourself and be loved. And once again, may you be safe. May you live with ease. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be steady and strong. May you have what you need. May you appreciate your life. And may you love and be loved. And now I encourage you to invite a difficult part of yourself that maybe you don't like or even hate. And we're going to offer some tenderness, some kindness to this quite unloved, unwelcome part. It could be a bad habit, it could be an addiction, it could be a hot temper. It could be whatever it is that you find difficult to love and accept about yourself. May you, this unwanted part of me, may you be safe. Safe from judgment and hate and harm. May you be peaceful. May you be free from judgment. May you be welcome in my heart. May you loosen your grip on me. May you have the attention and care that you need. And may you too be accepted and perhaps even loved. And then just take a few minutes of quiet for you to relate to this part of yourself in your own way, offering whatever wishes are appropriate. just in your own words, with the intention to understand rather than to judge. And now I invite you to offer these blessings, these well wishes or prayers, however you conceive of them, to all beings everywhere without exception. All living beings, all beings who came before us, and all who will follow. All human beings, all creatures, all forms of life. Remembering that each one of us is part of the circle of all beings. So this is a wish for yourself and all beings everywhere. May all beings be safe and protected. May all beings live with the ease of an open heart. May all beings be truly happy and deeply peaceful. May all beings be well. May all beings' hearts be steady through the ups and downs of life. May all beings have the support and nourishment that we need. May all beings appreciate life in all its forms. And may all beings taste and know the heart of love. It's interesting to see how just going through the different categories of beings, how sometimes it's so much easier to stay with it and concentrate than others. And that is always useful to observe. So today, as I said, we're going to look at the element of awakening called Samadhi or concentration. We've been, if you are just joining us, we've been looking at all the elements of awakening, the 7 factors of enlightenment, they're traditionally called. And they are, on the one hand, these energizing or arousing factors like joy and energy, effort, curiosity, interest, the aliveness of investigation. And then there are the calming factors. There is the factor of calm itself, of concentration or samadhi, of equanimity. And then the 7th, right in the middle, is mindfulness. It's like the fulcrum that balances these factors. We are aware of when we're out of balance on one side or the other. I was very aware this morning of being quite out of balance on the aroused side rather than the calm side. And I thought, but today I need to talk about concentration, so I need to calm down. That's mindfulness that tells us where we might be out of balance. And we've really spent weeks looking at these. I think I began with equanimity. And now we will look today at concentration. And if I can, maybe next week we'll sort of do the overview of all of them, depending on how far we get with the concentration. So I'm going to offer you some teachings about that and then make sure we have time for some dialogue with each other. And the factor of calm, which we talked about last, of course, is what helps lead to concentration. And why I began with the loving kindness meditation is that it is said in the classical texts very clearly that the proximate cause of concentration, of being able to settle the mind and heart and be present, that the proximate cause for that is happiness. That when we're feeling happy, it's much easier to be present with experience, isn't it? I mean, that's, we know this. This is common sense. I also have thought of it more and taught it more often as safety, that when we feel safe, we can relax. And in order to be able to be present, really present with experience, there needs to be some element of relaxation. And that's why we focus with the body. We relax the body as we sit. We bring attention to the sensations of aliveness in the body rather than looking at the body as an object, judging it, how it's doing or anything like that. So the first thing that we need in order to be able to be present and to sustain that presence is to feel safe, to feel somewhat relaxed, and not to be, I was going to say not to be miserable, but actually heartbrokenness and misery and pain can concentrate the mind just fine. But that's not the way we're going today, hopefully. But it does work. So if you're miserable, heartbroken, or in pain, take heart, because that actually can really help concentrate the mind. Jack and I were talking about this last night when I said I was going to be speaking about it today. And we were remembering retreats in the early days with a Vipassana teacher named Mr. Hover, who was really hardcore. And he would do these, they were called resolution sits, where you resolve not to move. And they would last for 2 hours. And so you'd be there after an hour just dying, you know, in total pain. And he would say, "Oh, suffering, is this you? Are you here? How am I going to be with you?" Anyway, we don't do that kind of practice, but we were both remembering that there is some value to testing the limits, testing your edges. If you're used to sitting a half an hour a day, see what happens if you sit 45 minutes. If you're used to sitting 45 minutes, see what happens if you sit for an hour. We can learn a lot about ourselves by testing those edges. My grandson is going into his junior year in high school, and we were talking with him yesterday, and he said he was taking all these AP courses, and we're like, what, why? And he said, "I want to see what I'm capable of doing." And it's that spirit, just really wanting to see. So all meditation methods really do rest on or focus on or stress the ability to concentrate the mind. And that means bringing the mind to rest on one experience, one moment of experience, one point of experience. And if you do this strongly and thoroughly and long enough, and in, say, a silent retreat, which unless you're living alone is really not so available to people. But if you do this with a lot of continuity, you will inevitably achieve a very deep and blissful and relaxed state that is sometimes called jhana. And you might have heard people talk about this. And it's a state of just great tranquility and actually pleasure. It's very pleasurable. Concentration can be very, very pleasurable. As you know, if you've ever gotten so absorbed in something that you're enjoying doing that you completely lose track of time, and well, you've just completely absorbed. That's a form of samadhi. Samadhi is, I think, better translated as absorption than concentration, but it's pointing to the same thing. And with mindfulness meditation, the goal is not to be in those blissful, sublime states, as lovely as they are. The goal is insight and understanding. The goal is awareness and sustaining awareness. So take heart. If you aren't, if you aren't likely to enter the jhanas the way your life currently is, don't worry, because concentration and relaxation are what help us with be aware. And the kind of concentration that we're talking about here, it's called Kanika concentration, Kanika samadhi, and it's really a moment-to-moment presence. Like we're present with this breath, we're present with this sound, we're present with just what is arising in this moment of experience. And this is really important and helpful. Pema Chodron said, the only reason that we don't open our hearts and minds to other people is that they trigger confusion in us that we don't feel brave enough or sane enough to deal with. To the degree that we look clearly and compassionately at ourselves, we feel confident and fearless about looking into someone else's eyes. And so that's why I really like the loving kindness practice as a gateway into concentration. Because in the loving kindness practice, we're softening, we're offering, and even if we don't feel tender or soft or loving in any way, shape, or form, each phrase that we offer is planting a seed of those states. And those phrases that allow us to be more at ease with ourselves, to feel less blame, shame, judgment, all of that is what helps us relax and be able to be present with experience. So the calm that we talked about last week, this quiet, steady calm, that is also obviously a doorway into concentration, the ability to quiet, steady, and calm the heart and mind. And one of the things that we learn in this practice tradition is how to notice when experience is pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. And how, when we are, I was going to say enjoying, I would just say having an unpleasant experience, the mind gets filled with dislike, with aversion to that experience. And how, when we're having a pleasant one, the mind gets filled with, pleasure and enjoyment, and often wanting that to prolong that in some way. And then there are the moments that are kind of neither here nor there. They're neutral moments. They're moments when nothing much is happening. Those moments are when we usually space out. And those moments are actually a doorway into concentration, simply because they are relatively calm or neutral or peaceful. And because they're not colored with affect, with feeling, with emotion, we overlook them. But they are a huge support to being able to focus and concentrate and stay present. So you might practice during this next week, just noticing neutral moments and noticing how we immediately turn away from them into calling them boring, or just not even noticing them at all. More often, not even noticing them at all. Or turn toward pick up a device. I know that I have definitely, that is one of my least favorite habits of myself, is to take a look, just pick it up, take a look, and often disappear into that rabbit hole, down the rabbit hole. And while I'm just mentioning that habit, I also want to give a shout out for a documentary called The Social Dilemma. And it's about the work of my friend Tristan Harris, whom I met before he was well known, when he was kind of like Cassandra, a lone voice crying in the wilderness about some of the dangers of technology as it is currently being designed. He was a design ethicist at Google. And anyway, now Tristan's work is really, a lot of people have been listening to him, especially since the 2016 election. And this is a documentary that I feel every single person on the planet needs to see, or at least everybody old enough to use a smartphone. It's called The Social Dilemma, and it's on Netflix. And so maybe Caroline, you can find the link to it and post it at some point. So helpful tools for bringing concentration or strengthening that capacity to focus in our lives are anything that brings peace to our minds and hearts. For example, mindful walking, which is one of the few things that's been available to everybody during the pandemic. Right now, the air here in LA is not so good, so you might want to wait to do a long walk. But if you're part of a sensitive group, that is. But mindful breathing, mindful walking, doing yoga, doing Tai Chi. If you work out, mindful eating is something we can all do and enjoy, because we all have to eat. Yeah, any kind of mindful movement. Sometimes mindful work is very calming. It can be calming to sort of get some things done. And many of our moments of life are filled with not so positive tools for coping, like longing for what we don't have, resenting what we do have, just living in the wish for more, better, different, or coulda, woulda, shoulda, all of those things. And we know by now in our lives, all of us here, what is onward leading. And that phrase, onward leading, is used a lot in the Buddhist philosophy and psychology, and it means that which leads to happiness and fulfillment and peace. And we know what is onward leading. And we also know what leads to suffering. Doesn't mean we don't do it, but we do know. And I mean, we know how we feel after binge watching something. We know how we feel after we've been able to attend a day of meditation retreat, for example. It's a different feeling. And we know very clearly how, well, let me say it this way. Meditation is really about learning how to view the flow of experience, how to witness the flow of experience that we call our life, and develop the wisdom to discern what will make us happy and what will lead to suffering. And that is really what the teachings are about, more and more of the time being able to choose what's best for us and be honest about what we're choosing and why in any given moment. What we're choosing to concentrate on in any given moment, because we're always focused on something, you know, we always are. And the concentration practices, they're pretty interesting to people because they can lead to altered states, many of which, as I said, involve bliss or sometimes just being able to feel that you're out of yourself and free. And these are possibilities that should be considered and practiced and brought into the field of awareness, but concentration by itself does not bring insight. Concentration needs to work with mindful awareness for us to develop insight and understanding. And the insight and understanding that the classic texts really want us to develop is understanding about impermanence. The phrase that has been coming into my mind for understandable reasons recently is up in smoke. You know, I know people whose homes have gone up in smoke. Everything they owned and were attached to, you know, in the material plane, up in smoke. And understanding that eventually all of who we are and what we love and all of our most treasured possessions, our art, our, you know, whatever your treasured possessions might be, will be for all practical purposes up in smoke. And you know, none of us like the idea that the being that we are, you know, Trudy or Ran or Arundhati, that the being we are is going to go up in smoke. It's not usually an idea that we want to face, but the core of these teachings is about facing these truths and finding the courage and steadiness of heart to use these sort of existential facts of life to inspire us to live the best life we possibly can. That's the point, not to terrify us and wake us up at night in a cold sweat. So here is what is said in the texts. For one who is enraptured, and by this we can just say feeling happy and safe, or happy enough, or safe enough. The mind grows calm. For one who is at ease, their body calmed, the mind becomes concentrated. When the mind of one who is at ease, their body calmed, becomes concentrated, then concentration as an element of awakening is invoked, aroused, strengthened, and present. And of course, this also leads to equanimity, which we talked about before. So I want to close this talk by reading something from a Christian contemplative, Thomas Merton, and it's called Vocation to Solitude. And I think that it can be a great comfort during this time of the pandemic. At least I like it, so maybe you will. To deliver oneself up, to hand oneself over, to trust oneself completely to the silence of the woods, the hills, the sea, or the desert. To simply sit still while the sun comes up over the land and fills its silences with light. To pray and work in the morning, to labor and rest in the afternoon, to sit still again in meditation in the evening. When night falls on the land, and when silence fills itself with darkness and with stars. This is a true and special vocation. There are few who are willing to belong to such silence, to let it soak into their bones, to breathe nothing but silence, to feed on silence, and to turn the very substance of their life into a living and vigilant silence. And he's talking about the silence of presence awareness, the silence of knowing that we don't need to follow our thoughts and believe them all, the silence of being grounded in the lived experience, all our senses wide open, of this particular moment in all eternity. The mind doesn't have to be completely quiet. We just need to be rooted, making our home in loving awareness. So this is what I want to share with you this morning. And now I want to invite you to raise your hand to, thank you, Ran, to raise your hand, which you can do in the participant down at the bottom of your screen. You can go into the participant section and find the hand raise function, or you can just wave your hand madly and Caroline will find you. It's easier for her if you use the raise hand function, but she'll find you no matter what. And then she will unmute you and then we can have some conversation together.
It looks like, Chris, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and share, please.
Hi, good morning, Trudy. I don't have a question, but I just wanted to say that I learned about the loving kindness meditation in the last year from Jack and have done it many, many times. It's part of my regular practice. And I have just never experienced it like I did today. The innocent vulnerability that you delivered it with was just the absolute perfect antidote at the perfect time for this absolutely insane world that we're living in. I expect a swarm of locusts to come by any second. Just the world is such a better place with you in it. And I'm so grateful to you this morning. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Well, that brings tears to my eyes. I know. I think at this point, everyone's waiting for that other plague, the other shoe to drop, Yeah, thank you. Can you unmute Madeline or whoever's?
Yes, Madeline.
Thank you.
Oh, hi, I totally agree with what Chris said, but I wanted to ask you, in the part of loving kindness where you send it to a part of you that you don't like, I found that very, I don't know, almost shocking, because those are the parts that I always want to, get rid of.
Sure.
And to send loving kindness to that, I just found it kind of shocking and disturbing. And I wondered if you could talk more about that.
Did you feel that way the whole time?
I didn't feel the same the whole time. As it got towards the end, I thought maybe my negativity was misplaced, but I never got to being totally positive. You know what I mean?
But this is really important, Madeline. That moment where you felt like, oh, like maybe my negativity is misplaced, or maybe I don't need it. That moment that's the activity of loving kindness. It doesn't mean that my heart personally is never going to be overflowing with love for the parts of myself that get in my way, honestly. And when we wish loving kindness to the difficult person, it's the same thing. We're not going to adore that person who may have really hurt us in this life or betrayed us or something. Although I usually invite you not to pick the person who abused you most in this lifetime, because, you know, we don't have that much time together, and I don't want you to open up things that would, you know, linger and be painful afterwards. But for those difficult people or parts of ourselves, to be free from resentment, to be free from what you called negativity, to be free from judgment and aversion, to be free from blame and shame, that's enough. You see, that's enough, because that's enough to allow us to concentrate and be present with all of our experience without it getting in the way. So the shocking part, I think, is that we imagine that because it's something we don't like about ourselves, that if we don't like it and keep not liking it, somehow it's going to just like crawl away and disappear. But after many, many years of working, really 25 years of working intensively as a psychotherapist, I can tell you it's not how it works. It's completely kind of paradoxical or counterintuitive. Those of you who are therapists will understand and know what I'm about to say, and maybe some of you anyway, just from your own experience of yourself. But the things that we can positively connote, that we can see with some measure of forgiveness or even some tenderness, the things that we can offer a little bit of acceptance to simply because they're here, part of us, of our life, those things are much easier to let go of. And, you know, it's kind of like, I think of it sometimes, because I worked a lot with kids, of a child who needs attention and they do obnoxious things. If they can't get your attention because you're working, or, you know, you're just not paying attention to them, they'll often act out or act up to get your attention. They'd rather have negative attention than none at all. And yet, if we can give even a child who's asking for your attention when you can't give it, if you can even touch that child, you know, put a hand on their arm and look right into their eyes and say, you know, mommy or daddy or whoever you are to that child is busy right now, but I really care about being with you as soon as I can. Or, you know, just something, they are more likely to go away and leave you alone for a while, at least for a couple minutes before they come back. And it's the same with these, the aversions that we hold for the people we don't like and the parts of ourselves we don't like. So that's the rationale behind what seems so shocking to you, Madeline, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's very helpful.
Yeah.
And I would just like to add that despite this pandemic, I mean, I used to live in LA and come to InsightLA, and now I'm on the East Coast. And when I found out about the Zooms, I thought, oh, this is fantastic. It gives me an opportunity to participate.
I'm so glad you're back with us. That's great. But really I want you to appreciate what you did in that meditation, which was the first time you'd done that, which is that you actually saw, maybe I don't need this negativity. Maybe it's not helpful. Maybe it's misplaced. That's huge.
Yeah, that's very valuable. That I feel like I don't totally get it fully, but I feel like it's important.
Well, trust that feeling, because getting it fully and totally is the work of a lifetime.
Starting, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, Ronnie, it looks like you have your hand up. If you can go ahead and unmute.
Hi. I just want to comment on something, but I do have a question. But there's just this comment about negative attention. Any attention is better. It's not just with kids. I mean, there's a lot of adults that I know that you know, whatever, you know, they just it's better, you know what I'm saying? It's not just kids. If you don't learn it when you're a kid, you're gonna want,
Well,
you know, it's the same thing happens.
They have an expression in Gaelic. I can't say it in Gaelic, but it means better strife than loneliness.
Exactly. And you know, the thing about putting, some type of answer. As I always say to certain people that do that, just have habits of not listening, just some kind of acknowledgement is all you need. All you need is an acknowledgement to say, okay, I heard you, and I'll get back to you. I'm doing something right now. Just some acknowledgement. But the question I have is, so when we meditate, this is the way I'm seeing it from your explanation.
Yeah.
Meditating is one of the things that leads to calmness, and that calmness is what leads to a heightened awareness. So is that kind of the order of how it goes?
Well, it's a different order for all of us, I think, Ronnie. The texts lay it out in a certain order, but
yeah,
personally have never been anybody who does anything by the book or in the right order. It
right,
seems.
whatever works.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
Okay, so but would you classify meditation as one of the things that leads to concentration?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
And concentration supports meditation.
Right. And calmness is one of the things that also supports those two things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And they kind of lead to each other.
Well, what you're saying is very true. All of the what are called the factors of enlightenment, or the elements of awakening, I like to say, they all actually lead to each other.
Right. Okay.
All kind of part of each other ultimately. We categorize and divide things to be able to talk about them, but in actual lived experience, it's not like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Right? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, I think Gabby has her hand raised. If you want to go ahead and unmute.
Hi, good morning, Trudy.
Good morning, Gabby.
Let's see, I'm kind of blurry here. Okay. I really loved your practice today. I feel like a really perfect timing for me because I just been going through a lot with all the stuff, and I've been through 4 natural disasters in my lifetime. So, and in fact, the house next door got burned. Like, I was getting burned last week, and now like, oh great, now it's like a house next door and the fire just getting really activated. But with your practice, it helped me kind of like, I went back to my childhood. Like, I remember moments when I was I was mean with my parents had a helper in the house, and I remember being mean to her. But like, I remember not being called upon it. Like, hey, this is not good. This is not correct. So, but I'm wondering like where it came from. I'm not sure. And then I thought like, how could I wash this away from my life forever and ever so it doesn't ever come back? And your ritual today felt like a vaccine, or like it helped me like kind of wash it away in a way. Like, I like it when you said like, love it, love what you are, even if you're kind of mean, I guess, or you have this temper in you. But it does come back once in a while. I notice it does come back. And there are times that I don't like it, but like this practice, you made it sound like you had to like it and embrace it. And then it kind of felt like a light coming in and washing it away. But it comes back. And I don't like that part, that it comes back.
Well, I think the main thing, Gabby, is, these things will come back. They're very deeply rooted in our psyches. And the main thing is how you approach it when it comes back, and how you treat yourself when it comes back. Okay, example from my life. I'm in a new place. I didn't know how to set up the light. It's just complicated. And I just was getting agitated and kind of nervous. It's interesting because I was agitated last week before starting to teach too, and the practice helped me calm down. This is a time when there are lots of different challenges, whether it's having to move, whether it's whatever it may be. And so I was thinking, oh my God, this is the 2nd week in a row that I'm starting the sitting group feeling agitated. What is this about? And I could go in two directions. You know, I could start to blame myself and say, oh, you're a meditation teacher and look how you're acting or feeling and blah, 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 right? I could go down that road. Or I could just do a practice that helps to hold that feeling until it inevitably passes. Do you see what I'm saying? So it really depends on how you meet when it comes back, how you meet that, whether you just sort of wring your hands or hate yourself, or whether you say, okay, breathe into it. This is here again, unwelcome visitor, but I know you won't stay forever if I don't give you too much attention, and just focus on my walking, breathing, whatever you're doing. Does that make sense? Unmute
Sorry,
yourself.
yes. In fact, in my room, I'm putting some frames in the background because it looks very white, and I got some trees
Yeah,
because I feel like it's I
yeah,
need some
nice.
trees around me. I'm a nature person, and then being indoors, I've been having to change my routine, like do Zumba in the morning. Before this session, I was doing some Zumba so I could relax and
Good.
get in the rhythm because I'm
Those
usually outdoors, but
are
I can't breathe.
calm you down.
Yeah,
Beautiful. Thank you.
thank you.
All right, Matthew, if you would go ahead and unmute yourself and share.
Yeah, hey, Trudy. Good morning, everyone. Had a question for you, Trudy. So I was just thinking about the concentration thing. And, you know, I think for me, concentration, when I've hit that, you know, sort of place where it becomes pleasurable that you were talking about, has been most times when I'm deeply engaged in work or something, and I kind of hit that sort of flow state, or, you know, that sense where I've almost got blinders on and I'm just totally focused. And it kind of occurred to me that maybe one of the reasons why I like that state so much is that it's actually the ultimate distraction for myself. And so I'm curious because that to me seems a little antithetical to the idea of mindful self-awareness, you know? So I'm just wondering what the kind of trying to figure out that relationship between concentration and versus distraction, I guess.
That's a great question, and I'm kind of beaming because it really gets me. You gave me the chance or the invitation to say something about this, which is so important, Matthew, which is this. Yes, part of why concentration is so blissful for us is that it takes us away from ourselves. And the self that it takes us away from is the self that is constantly focused on I, me, my. How am I doing? How will I be doing? What does this mean for me? What does that mean for me? You know, seeing everything. It's like looking at the sky through a straw, seeing everything filtered through that narrow. So it isn't a distraction from yourself. It's a freedom from yourself. Do you see what I'm saying? That's the point that's so important. Why mindful awareness, why concentration is such an essential element of mindful awareness is because mindful awareness ultimately is to help us see the impermanence of all these mind states that are about I, me, my. I mean, my first teacher used to harp on it constantly, you know, the I, me, my, and I would just be like, well, what else is there? And I didn't mean it facetiously. I just didn't know anything else. But it's like making love or something. You know, when you lose yourself in an experience, but you're very present in that experience, it's compelling. And it's, as you said, it's pleasurable. And I said that too, because it is. And so that can be the seed. You're seeing that can actually be the seed of your continuing your practice with even more, say, commitment, because you're starting to see, oh, what I'm calling a distraction from myself is actually freedom. Oh, I actually would like to live more of my life moments this way, right? Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can I share this painting I'm working on?
Of course, because you're really absorbed in it, aren't you?
I'm so absorbed, y'all. This is like deep samadhi.
Oh, beautiful, Akemi.
Thanks.
Wow, Akemi is not only a musician and a singer and an improv practitioner, she's an artist in this way, a visual artist too. Thank you. What
Yeah.
is the medium you're using?
Acrylic.
Wow. I don't know how you blend it like that. You have
Yeah.
to show me sometime.
It's like amazing, like the concentration I've been able to achieve in this like deep state of joy, you know, like it's
Yeah,
easy. I'm just painting for hours and hours and hours, and it's great.
it's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. That's so pretty. Jeff, would you like to go ahead and unmute yourself and share?
Sure. Hi, Trudy.
Hi, Jeff.
I have a question related to this, which is, I'm certainly on this journey. I sit regularly. I find walking meditation even a little easier as far as the concentration aspect. But I'm curious because another thing that I do is I bought this cheap step climber from Amazon for COVID, and I'll get on there and I'll put on some mindless music, some fast-paced music, and I'll just be on there for 30 or 40 minutes, and it will change my mood. It will kind of free me from certain ruminations, but I'm not really, I don't know if you call it, it's not concentration. It's actually kind of almost like a drug-like state, I guess, and how you would contrast the ultimate value of that sort of liberation from the concentrated kind that we're talking about in doing mindfulness practice.
Okay, well, a few things. Great questions. Thank you. A few things. First of all, we talk about slow walking and slowing into experience and slowing down, into our life as much as we can to be aware. But it's not the only way to be aware. Like I did a lot of practice in the Rinzai Zen tradition where when we did walking meditation, we would walk at this time, boom, 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 boom. Those are my feet. Boom, 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 really fast. And then whoever was leading that walking meditation would often take us outside, and it would be walking really fast out on the ground, where there might be roots or rocks, or you had to actually pay attention. And at first I was just like, oh my God, what is this? But actually doing it really fast like that, it was its own kind of concentration. Like when you're doing those, what is it, steps or treadmill or whatever.
It's a climber, but it does require balance and coordination.
Yes, exactly. If you weren't paying attention on a stair climber, I mean, I'm terrified of a stair climber because the stairs like go without you anyway. I find that scary. If you aren't paying attention on the stair climber, you're going to fall and hurt yourself possibly. But so it is attention. It's just not the way you have been conceiving of it. And, doing something aerobic and fast is a great way to enter meditation because it definitely, not only does it bring those endorphins that are like a kind of form of loving kindness, they gladden the mind, but also you can relax afterwards. You've I don't know, whatever agitated energy, pent up energy from the pandemic, you can release it. And then the last thing I would say is, because I remember things you've said to me long ago, when you are struggling with, say, negativity or, bad moods of a different kind, doing 45 minutes of aerobic exercise each day is better, I think, than an antidepressant. Maybe you need both, but certainly I would never, as a therapist, give somebody an antidepressant unless they were also willing to do that, to do some aerobic exercise for 45 minutes a day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, good.
You hit on, it's what we call an upaya, a skillful means, and you found one, so congratulations.
Thank you. It's just the only question I have is as far as then being able to sort of confront, be more aware. To me, I don't know, is that ultimately still an end result of this, or is the silent meditation going to bring me that awareness in a different way?
Both and. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you're really absorbed in that music and your movements, and that's a state of absorption. Now, this is where you're pointing to what I said at the beginning, which is concentration won't bring insight. You can get very absorbed in making love or in exercise or in your painting, it's not necessarily going to bring insight. That comes with the awareness practice in meditation. Okay?
Got it. Exactly what I was asking.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
My
you.
stair climber was only $58, and it's very easy. You can't hurt yourself. But I'll send you a link.
Thank you. Thank you. Other people might be interested too. You can post it for everybody on the chat. So we just have a few minutes. I want to see if there are any announcements. I don't know if Carolyn or Akemi, if you have any announcements.
Yeah, so this Tuesday from 6:30 to 8, there's the Purpose Pivoting and Pacing with Caroline Welch. And you can register it. I'll send the link in just a second. And then also just a friendly reminder that InsightLA, like a lot of small businesses, are having some financial difficulties during the pandemic. And as a community, we really rely on generosity and donation. So we really appreciate if you would donate. I'll send the link in to do that. But that's all I have for announcements today.
Thank you. And Caroline Welch, she has been really, oh my gosh, she did her first meditation retreat when she was living in Japan, I think teaching English in Japan when she was really young, and like decades ago. And she also happens to be married to Dan Siegel. So she's been really immersed in mindfulness. And so I want to encourage you. Her book is about, I think, mindfulness for women, and everybody's welcome. So anyway, thank you so much, everybody, for your practice. Let's sit together for just a moment. I am so grateful for today's time together. And if you feel in any way that it's been beneficial, helpful, good for you, at the end of a period of study and practice, we express our gratitude by offering, through our imagination, offering the blessing of this practice, the benefits, to all beings everywhere, without exception. May we and all beings grow in our capacity to be concentrated, focused on what will bring happiness and end suffering in our world. So again, thank you everybody for your presence and your practice. Keep at it, keep going. You will always be grateful to yourself for doing that. And I will see you next week. You could unmute everybody now, Carolyn or Akemi, and so we can say hi and goodbye. And thank you.
Thank you, Trudy. Great class.
Oh,
Just
I'm glad.
great.
To see you all.
Wonderful session.
Thank you.
Everyone, thank you, Trudy.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so
Always
much
uplifting.
Hey.
for everybody. Thank you, Trudy.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Trudy. Thanks, Akimi.
See you next week.
Bye, everyone. See you
Have
next
a great
week.
week.
Take good
Have a
care of
wonderful
yourself,
week.
please.
Thank you,
Thank
Trudy. Bye,
Okay.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for your practices.
Yay, Caroline, you did so good.